Are you ready? I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
We
have masks.
We have masks.
It has a great fit too, right underneath the neck, covers your nose fully, and it's very soft inside. Also, the printing is not on it, but it's in it, so it's not gonna if you wash the mask, it's not gonna come out.
Yeah, and I mean, how real is that? You get to wear a mask of Sori wearing a mask. And this was before everything came about. And it still has our slogan.
Maybe you're sick because of your secrets.
And it's at this point, it's better to be sick because of your secrets than to be sick because of COVID.
True.
So there's that.
Stay safe.
And this is Tom Macdonald, Clown World. Is that the name? Is that the name of his song? Yeah,
I know. He looks pretty scary on his album cover here.
Clown World, ladies and gents.
It's so funny because you look at that and you're like, if he just showed up behind me and I was by myself, I'd be scared, but he'd actually probably be pretty safe. There's I've been starting to realize that the attractive, nice looking people are usually the scariest.
Okay.
Well, you know, when you'll see some of all the people that I kind of thought were a lot of the serial killers. They're
You're saying he looks like a serial killer?
No, I'm saying he looks like he would be more scary, but then that means he's probably more safe. Usually people that you just look like regular white guys, and then they turn out to be these crazy, sick killers.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, moving on.
I see. We're in a very strange world. Anyway, if you, dear listener, would like your song review, shout out to DJ for sending me the song. If you, dear listener, would like your song review, the process is very simple. 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You get to hop, skip, and jump in front of everybody.
I don't know who DJ is.
And then if you do that 3 times, you get pushed down to the $75 rate. We also have another super elite mega tier that is going to go unannounced. But we've got a couple people who already qualify for that super mega tier.
True.
So if you are part of Sori's secret email thingamajiggy.
If you don't have it and you're on Patreon and you're on the 125 or doing the 75, if you're doing any of the song reactions, you can ask for it. And
okay.
I will give it to you.
So this is
but
Tom.
You have to keep it a secret because it's super secret.
This is Tom Macdonald. He's one of the big homies of the channel. Shout out to all the fans. I'm sure it's going to be fun. I'm sure there's going to be a lot to talk about. I'm drinking my chaga.
Yep.
Without further ado, let's do it. Tom Macdonald, what's the name of the song? Is Clown World.
It's also the name of the album?
The name of the album is Clown World?
Or was this a single?
I think it's a single.
All right, well, here we go.
All right, and let's go.
You worry about leaving a better planet for our kids. How about leaving better kids for our planet? Entire generation offended at everything, getting mad that a human thinks all lives matter. We don't need black or white or left or right. What we need is common sense. We need balance. We're all in the same boat. Why you trying to make holes? If they sink, we sink. This is madness. I'm offended that you're offended by me taking offense. You can't build a wall. Why does your house have a fence? I believe in 2 genders. I'm not mad at the rest. I'm just confused when a dude has a beard and some breasts. We won't always agree. Nope. I don't hate all police. Nope. I don't think that the system's racist. I just think the system hates people. I think fighting violence with more violence is what they want. Viruses and riots, people dying, we won't stay home. Black lives matter, all lives matter. What's all this division for? It's modern segregation. This is setting up a civil war. Burn the circus down, cause the world is full of clowns. They're all stupid and they're proud, painted smiles on their mouths. I don't hang with bozos, homie, I can't be around you. Anyone who knows me knows my feet don't fit in clown shoes. When I was a child, the only races that we hated were the ones that we ran and didn't win. Then we stopped playing with each other, started hating on each other, started noticing the color of our skin. Christians and atheists, immigrants, patriots, we love the country but we are not saving it. Wages don't raise to the rate of inflation, and half of the country hates all of the nation. It's funny that we think the world owes us something. All the phones got smart, but the people so dumb. We care more about the likes on a selfie than our moms, and the only time we ever speak the truth when we're drunk. We won't always agree. Nope, I don't hate all police. Nope, your thoughts and opinions ain't facts, and they are not defining my reality. Nope. I think picking sides divides, it's probably what has got us here. United States is great regardless, that's what we forgot in here. Black lives matter, all lives matter. What's all this division for? It's modern segregation, this is shutting up a civil war. Burn the circus down, cause the world is full of clowns. They're all stupid yourself and then they judge you on the internet till everybody hates you for it. If Jesus was alive, I swear to God that y'all would cancel him, cause lately being negative's the real new normal. Yeah, if you're thick, you're fat, you're rich, you're bad, you're poor, you're black, you're white, you're whack, they lie, it's facts. My generation needs a bunch of free condoms, cause common sense ain't that common. This is what they wanted, this is how they planned it. This is to control everyone on the planet. Then we put each other in caskets, protest and panic, and they take advantage to manage the damage. We won't always agree, no, freedom doesn't come free. No, there was people fighting, dying overseas, so that you can have freedom and be home. I think the elites are real, but they ain't drinking baby's blood. They're creating chaos so they have something to save you from. Black lives matter, all lives matter. What's all this division for? It's modern segregation. This is setting up a civil war. Burn the circus down, cause the world is full of clowns. They're all stupid and they're proud, painted smiles on their mouths. I don't hang with bozos, homie, I can't be around you. Anyone who knows me knows my feet don't fit in clown shoes.
Hey! He's hanging on a burger. Let's finish it. That's it. There's all the homies socials.
In a
Check him out.
like the burglar.
Yeah, like the Hamburglar from McDonald's. Remember the McDonald's?
I know. I actually miss all of that.
That was my first guy, man. When I came to this country, the Hamburglar.
You liked him?
Oh, that was my man. I was like, oh, he's on some gangster shit. He's stealing and shit. Because you didn't.
We weren't allowed to like him, I don't think.
Because they had these little toys too. You know the little things you get. And I got the Hamburglar. I felt so lucky. I'm like, God loves me. I got the Hamburglar.
Maybe if I could go back in time, I'd buy myself a Happy Meal.
Big shout out to the Hamburglar. Gang.
That was something like my parents never did. Once in a blue moon, there would be a Happy Meal. But those were so fun. It was but then you hit an age where you're like, shoot, they're not fun anymore.
I think the elites are real, but they ain't drinking baby's blood. That's the QAnon shit, bro. Yeah, apparently the main thesis for QAnon is that there is this elite group of people, which everybody believes that there is an elite group of people at the very, very top of the food chain in the world, and they are trafficking babies and small children to kill them and eat them so that they can it's a fountain of youth, basically. That is QAnon. All those people that stormed the Capitol and shit. All those people that were saying
they all believe that?
Oh, yeah. All those people that saying Nancy Pelosi and all the rest of it. We're going to get locked up. That's why they were mad enough to kill him. They were ready to kill.
Where did they even get their information from? Where's that even coming from?
This dude named Q, he was saying that he's in the highest levels of the U.S. government and was deployed by Trump to start releasing these documents. And this was the main thesis here, is that the elites are drinking baby's blood to maintain a fountain of youth. And they've got this entire
It's not like it's never been done before.
What?
That Bathory lady, she was bathing in young women's blood and to have the fountain of youth.
And then the minute she got caught,
she
ended up in prison. She died in prison.
She stayed there forever, right?
Yeah, and she was mentally ill. This is an entire cabal and network of people.
A whole bunch of people are doing it.
It's ridiculous. It's insane. But that's what these people. That's why they. When they're talking about kill this person, kill that person, it's because obviously, if people were really doing that shit.
One person said they were doing it. Now everybody
believes it. Of course.
How big is this group?
QAnon? What are you talking about? It's significant with all those people that stormed the Capitol. I mean, it's an internet movement. How can you tell? How can you know? But there's literally support groups of people who've lost their family to QAnon. It's no joke.
Okay.
And the other thing is, it
not
keeps
funny at all.
It keeps getting
something funny to say.
The timeline keeps getting pushed. So they were initially saying that on January 6th, Trump was going to have them all arrested in this big show. Then after the 6th happened, they're like, Biden's not going to get inaugurated. We had somebody very important to us in the village, and I was talking them through that whole situation. Then after Biden got inaugurated, they're like, oh no, now it's March 4th. So now March 4th is the date that Trump is going to get.
Sounds like those people with the Return of Christ.
It's absolutely insane.
You know those cults that do that?
Yeah, where they make these predictions.
I meant. Then they change all the things.
He showed up in 70 AD as he said he would. This generation will not pass away. That's a different stuff. But of course, it's ridiculous. You know, you're in a country where you have people radicalized about people drinking baby's blood, and we just had like the highest fiscal year of abortions in Planned Parenthood last year.
That's what I was thinking. Shit. I was like, wait,
but again, QAnon people are mostly right wing who don't agree with abortion. So do with that what you will.
Did you know that guy that
so he called out the QAnon
when they all went running into the Capitol? There was that one guy that was like at the front. He looked like a Viking with a thing on his head and all that.
A vegetarian.
Like, okay, he's a vegetarian.
Well, yeah, he basically told them like, look, I can only eat this type of a meal or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, well, when I first saw him, it was actually a little bit scary. Like I was like, oh my gosh, like because he was all like dressed up like that, and then when it came out that he was like the way that they told everybody that he was like basically like a failed actor.
Yeah, he lived in his mom's basement and shit. Yeah.
All of a sudden I was like, wait a minute. It's probably like the devil. Like right now some people are like scared of the devil, and then after everything's like over with and people are gonna be like, what?
Yeah, see, he refused to eat
non-organic food in jail.
So he was granted all organic diet in custody.
Really?
Yeah, that's the difference.
I was just thinking.
I'm about to go into Mr. Macdonald say we're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
I wish we were in the same boat, Tom.
Right.
You worry about leaving a better planet for our kids. How about leaving better kids for the planet? Ooh. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, really good. And that's something where like I like what he does about the parental responsibility stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's really, really, really good stuff because it's like that's one of those truisms that gets lost in translation. And an entire generation offended at everything, getting mad that a human thinks all lives matter. We don't need black or white or left or right. All we need is common sense. We need balance.
See, this is the thing. When people don't understand the struggle, that makes sense. Like, I could see myself maybe 6 years ago saying that same thing, like, all lives matter. Like, why just Black Lives Matter? Why do we have to make this differentiation between black and white in such an important issue? Missing the point that, obviously, it's black lives that are the ones being killed, so that's why we're focusing on that.
Well... Yeah, it's like I said in the last Fireside. I said that he has found a hole, and he's plugging the hole, and I hope he gets rich off of it. But pretty much, we've reviewed 3 of his songs, and
it's all basically the same.
They're all interchangeable,
right?
And so he's gonna see he's extremely intelligent though. So like instead of like going off and blasting QAnon, all he said is, "Yep, they're elites, but they don't drink any baby's blood." QAnon is a right-wing, sort of far-right type of situation. Mm-hmm. And there is overlap between Q disciples and people that listen to this guy. I know that for a fact because the people that turned me on to him are Q people. Mm-hmm. So, like, he's just very intelligent. Like, he's presenting himself as this guy who...
I think I know who DJ is now.
He's presenting himself as a guy who offends everybody, but he's really not. He's only trying to offend one group of people, and he's making sure that he sidesteps because there is a hell of a lot of things to mock in the QAnon thing.
I wish I had a way to put one of those noises when you just said that. Oh my god!
There you go. It's true.
He said it.
No, it's true because like he tiptoed around the QAnon thing, which is
right. No, I see what you're saying.
There is a ton of stuff to make fun of in QAnon and offend. But he just hit that one little line and he's out because he knows who his constituency are. His constituency are disaffected, mostly white people on the right who feel like the whole world is against him. So he can't go in there and make fun of them.
Yeah.
So I love the shtick. I love when people know what they're doing and know how to manipulate. I love that shit. Like, but there's a lot of people, like if you look at, like for example, this line right here, right? Everybody's get offended at everything, and it's like I'm offended about how you're offended, and yada yada yada. Well, the people, I'm like going scorched earth on this video.
Now.
So the people who love saying that shit.
Yeah.
Oh, everybody's so offended. Oh my God, you guys are snowflakes, right? Like it's all the same category of people. It's these right-wing white people, and so something like so. For example, we're in a Fireside. Somebody's like, come on, Vin. The Redskins changed their names. We're getting too sensitive. And I'm like, here you go as a white person telling these these Native Americans that they're too sensitive. You know what's really interesting to me? I've never seen. What do you think would happen, dear listener, if there was a new football team in New York called the Manhattan Money Making Jews, and the mascot was a Jewish guy with a hook nose? How long do you think that would go? Huh? You think? Do you think that CBS would run a single game featuring the Manhattan money-making Jews? I don't think so. As a matter of fact,
actually, I think it's more offensive than that. Didn't they call them Redskins when they were going to kill them?
Of course.
So then it would have to be something else, like it would be like the start, something that is connected to them going to the concentration camp.
Well,
not just the hook nose.
I'm not even going there because that's just too over the top. Because they've done a very good job of making that the only atrocity on the face of the earth. So I'm not even going to go there. All I'm saying is it doesn't even have to go to there. All you have to do.
Yeah, but I'm saying the Redskins one is that offensive. Right. So even your analogy of saying the crooked nose, whatever, Jews is not.
Correct.
What's the word?
Analogous. Right.
Analogous.
No, you're right. You know what's funny is the song All About the Benjamins?
Yeah.
So there's a verse. There's a verse by Jada Kiss, and he says, "You should do what we do, stack chips like Hebrews." Right. So because Jews have a reputation of having all this. Puffy, the record label, blocked that out.
Oh, really?
Even in the official version, if you bought the CD. That part got blocked out.
Wow.
So he couldn't even though it was positive.
Yeah.
He couldn't even mention a stereotype about Jewish people. But you could have an entire football team named the Washington.
Would think that's positive saying like that.
Well, the ADL would be all over it. That's my point. Is that people who are saying, "Oh, everybody's too sensitive." These are the same people who the last Tom Macdonald video we did was 40 minutes long.
Yep.
I talked about the race issue for 38 seconds. You want to talk about sensitive?
He clocked it.
Go, and I called it, right? Go look at the last Tom Macdonald video we did, and look at all the sensitive white people who went crazy off of 38 seconds in a 40-minute video.
Was it you?
It was you. So, all this thing about snowflakes and all, stop it. Because the right wing have their group of snowflakes just like the left wing have their group of snowflakes. The right wing are completely... I've never seen anything more sensitive than white people who are told that they have white privilege, which is what triggered all these white people in the comment section. I mean, these people went crazy just because I said we had white privilege. I said, okay, let's talk about it. I challenged a couple of them. Let's have an actual, debate about, no. So it's like, everybody in this country is sensitive. Here's what happens, okay? I'm specifically talking about white people. You've occupied a place in this country where you've been always the one mocking people, ridiculing people, and it's baked into your society. So you have things like Christopher Columbus Day, celebrating a serial rapist and a murderer. And then you've got things like the Washington Redskins. So finally, these folks are saying, no, enough of that, no more. Yeah. And now they're saying, oh, come on. But then the shoe's not even on the other foot. Gina Carano, she got bounced from The Mandalorian. She's sitting there on the Ben Shapiro show crying half the show. It's like, you're a multimillionaire.
Right. Yeah.
You got kicked off of a show and you're crying your eyes out. Are you kidding? There's sensitive, soft people all over the place. Particularly... there's a certain contingency in this country who are not very good at dealing with any sort of adversity whatsoever. Look at the absolute panic that these people went. So that. That's the whole thing for me. It's
when
come on, man.
You're used to a certain type of lifestyle.
Correct.
Then it's hard to see outside of that.
Correct.
I mean, call them weak, call them snowflake, call them whatever you want, but it's what you're used to, and so you don't even realize that you're being weak when you are being it. You know what I mean? I don't think the majority of these people even see what you're saying.
Yeah. Oh no!
This keeps turning red. When
don't worry about it. Okay. It's clear from the comment section that they didn't understand what I was saying. Mm-hmm. But see, this is part of my problem with. I don't think Tom Macdonald, because I think Tom Macdonald is actually a very intelligent, reasonable guy. But the people that he's representing, that's the real issue, is that, like, so here's a heuristic that he's created. He's saying Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. What's all this division for? It's modern segregation. This is setting up a civil war. So if I don't go along with his all lives matter, that means now I'm being divisive. To start a civil war, yeah. And now he and then they say things like, this is modern segregation. No, it's not. See, this is the thing that's hilarious to me. Hey, Tom and the rest of white folk who don't understand history. Segregation was not white people going down the street saying white lives matter. Segregation was, we're not going to give you a home loan so that you can generate revenue for yourself and your family because you're black. Mm-hmm. We're not going to let you into this school, this prestigious school, because you're black. We're not going to give you this employment opportunity because you're black. That was segregation.
You get to where you're going and you create Black Wall Street. We're going to go in there and take that down.
That's segregation. Violence. That is segregation. Saying Black Lives Matter is not segregation. Saying white lives matter is not segregation. Segregation, much like apartheid in South Africa, was a system in which you had a permanent underclass. This is so important. This is the thing that kills me about these people. It's this whole facts don't care about your feelings. What about the facts? Hey, white people, represented by Tom Macdonald. I understand that the phrase Black Lives Matter hurts your sensibilities, but it is nothing like actual segregation. Secondly, and this has been repeated a quadrillion times, when people say Black Lives Matter, they are not saying that white people don't matter. What they're saying is the following, okay? Yeah, we've had to do this a million trillion times. Let's do this again. Now, I did this in the previous Tom Macdonald video. There's like 300 comments. Two people attempted to even begin to deal with this. Here's the FBI. In the 2006 bulletin, the FBI detailed the threat of white nationalists and skinheads infiltrating police in order to disrupt investigations against fellow members and recruit other supremacists.
Wow.
This is not 1960. This was a 2006 bulletin. The bulletin was released during a period of scandal for many law enforcement agents throughout the country, including a neo-Nazi gang formed by members of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department who harassed Black and Latino communities.
That's so frustrating.
Similar investigations revealed officers and entire agencies with hate group ties in Illinois, Ohio, and Texas. Now, what I said in the original video was, show me the FBI document that talks about Black nationalist Hebrew Israelites infiltrating law enforcement and then harassing and arresting white people. You know what's funny? This report came out. They did not do a reinvestigation of all the Black and Latino people that had been locked up during this period. All they did was fire the sheriff. So when he says, oh, we're all in the same boat, I don't think the system's racist. The system just hates people. That's untrue. That
guy got his vegan diet.
That's how you feel. Correct. That's how you feel, Tom, and rest of white people. But the facts are, that's not true.
Wow.
There is no FBI document talking about Black infiltration of law enforcement because, quite frankly, I've been to a couple Black Lives Matter meetings. Black people are not very good at organization. There was one guy, I think it was Barajas, in the comment section. He's like, why are you mad about that? Just don't be mad because y'all can't organize. I hearted that one. I love that shit. I love when people do that. We continue. Prison guard trainees were photographed giving a Nazi salute.
Wow.
The entire class was fired. A Nazi salute. Sieg Heil. So let's get this right. So when you're out on the street, right, you got the sheriff's department in Illinois and in Los Angeles run by neo-Nazis. Jeez. Then you get put in prison, and guess who your prison guards are?
This is a basic training class.
Yeah, the basic training for corrections and rehabilitation. These are the prison guards. So then you go to jail and your prison guards.
The fact that they thought that this was okay to take the picture means that there must be a lot of stuff going on there.
Correct.
The picture is what made it so that way they had to do something.
Facts. Here's Harvard. Black people are 3 times as likely as white people to be killed during a police encounter. Oh. We're not in the same boat, Tom. I tell my sons things you will never have to tell your sons.
It's so true.
My kids are not allowed to play with toy guns. Google Tamir Rice. We're not in the same boat at all. What about the death penalty?
I'll tell you what, being a white person coming into a black family, it's a very, very difficult in that regard.
I bet it's
like
terrifying.
Hearing some of the conversations that you have to have with the boys is like, I want to say, oh no, that's not true. You know, or like there's some things that like some people just simply wouldn't understand. Like there are certain things that my father told me about when I got a job that I started telling the boys because you pass on what your parents teach you. And then I started realizing this information is not for them. Telling them you work hard and do your best and they're going to promote you is not true when you're a black kid. Our kid,
you saw it.
Listen, I saw it. Now, and he's actually relatively light. He was working and he's
also a massive Republican. He's a Ben Shapiro loving, whatever.
He was 14 at the time. He got his first job. He walked out in the snow trying to get a job. He found himself a job, and the people all of a sudden randomly wrote him up. Literally on that list, there must have been 9 or 10 things. I don't even know. It was a very big list of all the stuff, and it was bang, 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 bang. I'm like, how is it that this even happened?
Well, you know what he got written up for? Was constantly calling
to make sure his schedule was right.
To make sure that his schedule was accurate because he didn't want to be a minute late. And they didn't have a set schedule for little homie, so he would call every morning and say, "Am I doing the work?"
Yeah, that was so annoying.
She put that in the write-up. She wrote him up for that.
Yeah, and I told him, I said, "Honey, you don't have to keep calling them." I said, just tell her, that you want to get your schedule. I said, you need to be writing down your schedule. He said, there is no schedule. I said, what? He said, there's no.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter. Make a freaking schedule.
Kind of does.
No, it does. No. That's ridiculous.
Well, I understand why.
It's not mom and pop and one 14-year-old. There was multiple employees there, and you need to have a plan.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a plan and he's calling to verify what his schedule is, like, how can you even write him up for that?
Protestant work ethic, blah, blah, blah. And these people's simplistic world, like, hey, just work hard. And
he was there every day on time.
Well, the other one, like, I did another job. And I work from home, so Sori was able to observe this shit. I had 3 black women and 1 white girl working for me. The white girl got her raise on schedule, on time. I had to fight and claw and scratch for the 3 black girls to get their raise. And they had outperformed the white one by a mile.
I didn't see their performance, but just even their physical presentation was more professional.
Well, I pulled up the thing. Signed an NDA, so they don't know. But I pulled up the thing one time, and she was like 11% above everybody else. The black girls were killing it, and I had to fight and claw and scratch to get their promotions. And then they gave the white girl the amazing schedule, and the black girls got terrible schedules. It's supposed to be a stack. It was just crazy
That's
stuff.
Not right, man. That's not right.
And they didn't make a big stink out of it. Nobody, went crazy. Nobody.
You had your own experiences too.
Nobody called the news or whatever because we're just used to doing that. And this is why I say, here's my thing. This is one of the reasons why, I'm so big on working multiple businesses and having multiple streams of income. I don't want this is the thing where I tell black people, the system isn't built for you. Mm-hmm. It's not built for you. It's never going to be built for you. It's just human nature. There's nothing particularly wrong with white people. The fact of the matter is, they have the majority.
It's not built for you to rise above.
Right. They're the majority in this country, and people are going to do what's in their own self-interest. It's just based. You can bring it down to the evolutionary level. So, like, my thing is, okay, if you're in that situation, you need to look around and say, okay, well, what can I do to carve out a little piece of the pie for myself? Don't cry about it. Mm-hmm. And for the most part, most folks don't cry about it because we just deal with it. Like, we were dealing with the girls, they just deal with it. They're like, oh, y'all know what it is. We were laughing about it because, it is what it is. But that's why, I was talking to a friend at like 1 o'clock yesterday. He's like, yo, every time I call you, you're working. That's why I want to set something up for my sons so that my sons never have to be in that situation and work for white people.
Right. Jordan Peterson was saying you need $60,000 a year to have to maintain a certain quality of life. And I was like, well, what we're trying to do is create a future for our kids.
Right.
So you got to work and work and work and work and work. Like we're working almost every single night. We were working past midnight.
Well, yeah, but so that's how I say to black folks. It's like, look, there's nothing particularly wrong with white people. It's just human nature. And, you've got a lot of opportunities here. Go out there and freaking do something, bro. You see what I'm saying? Like, you have to because, a lot of this stuff is really not going to change. Let's continue to talk about law enforcement, though, Mr. Macdonald, since we're on the same boat. I don't think the system's racist. I just think they hate people. Okay. University of Iowa law professor David Baldus found that during the 1980s, prosecutors in Georgia sought the death penalty for 70% of black defendants with white victims, but only 15% of white defendants with black victims. Prosecutors have unfettered discretion in deciding which cases become capital cases, seeking the death penalty in approximately 1% of all capital eligible cases. Notably, among the 38 states that allow the death penalty, approximately 98% of the prosecutors are white.
Wow, okay.
In the fall of 2000, the U.S. Department of Justice released the results of an initial survey of federal death penalty prosecutions. The report shows that the federal death penalty, like its application in the states, is used disproportionately against people of color. Surprise! Of the 18 prisoners currently on federal death row, 16 are either African American, Hispanic, or Asian. From 1995 to 2000, 80% of all the federal cases recommended by U.S. attorneys to the Attorney General seeking the death penalty involved people of color. Even after review by the Attorney General, 72% of the cases approved for death penalty prosecution involved minority defendants. Okay, are you trying to tell me that that's not a disproportionate application of the death penalty? White people aren't killing people in this country? You sure? Who's doing all the school shootings? Who's doing all the active shooter drills? But there's a clear, this is obvious, this is facts, it's straight up mathematics. How about this one? Home appraisal for black couple skyrockets after white friends pretend to be the homeowner. After an appraiser at the Austins and the Austins' white woman pal met at their house, its value went up by a whopping $493,000.
Holy moly.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That's the couple right there?
Yeah. Paul Austin and Tanisha Austin.
Wow.
So they read the appraisal, right? So then they said, we had a conversation with one of our white friends. She said, no problem. I'll be Tanisha. I'll bring over some pictures of my family. She made our home look like it belonged to her. And after the appraiser and the Austin's white woman co-conspirator had their meetup, the value of the home increased by nearly 50%.
That is so bad.
Okay. So, come on, guys. Let's just deal with facts, huh? Let's just deal with facts. We're not all...
When was this?
This was this year. That last story I told you was from 2021. It was like a month ago. We're not in the same boat, Tom. We're not. And I would challenge all you white folks who are triggered and angry at me because I said that you're fragile and you're sensitive. I don't believe all white people are sensitive and fragile. This one's not. But there's a lot of you who are. If you can't watch 38 seconds of a criticism out of a 48-minute video without getting triggered, you're absolutely sensitive and soft. If you can't look at the data that I had and come up with an actual argument against it based on facts, not feelings and your emotions, then you're soft. That's just a fact. And Tom and the rest of you are not listening. I don't know how many analogies have come up. You know, Dorian, you know, with some of his money, he donates to St. Jude's Children's Hospital because of cancer. Nobody looks at St. Jude's and says, well, you don't think adults are important? You don't care about adults?
Right.
No. Yeah, I used to live in Florida, and they had this Save the Manatees thing. Mm-hmm. Does that mean nobody cares about sharks? You know, you have these silly, well, why don't you put Save the Humans? Because manatees were an endangered species. So we said save manatees because they were the particular group that were in trouble. It doesn't mean we don't care about anybody else. Now, this is a hilarious thing to me about Macdonald. Like, they create this heuristic, or this term divisive is being used now, where unless you agree with them that we're all in the same boat, then you're being divisive. Mm-hmm. And they never look and say, well, maybe we're the ones being divisive by not listening to people.
Right.
Is that possible? Maybe you're the one being divisive because you're not listening to what people have to say? Now, I will say, I had a conversation. I'm not going to mention the guy's name because, you know, it was a private offline conversation, and we were going back, and we really disagreed. You know, he was like, you hate white people, blah, blah, blah. And so we had about an hour-long conversation. I showed him some of this data. You know what he said? He said, you know what? I got to look at this stuff. I hear where you're coming from. He wasn't, like, completely convinced. He wasn't like, I'm going to join the Black Panther Party. But we had a conversation of two adults about an issue. And we were talking about our various experiences and things of that nature. Yeah. And that is what real progress is about. It's not everybody.
He was humble and honest, I thought. Like, there was some stuff where he was like, Okay, and he was like kind of like taking, you could tell he was taking in the information and listening to what you were saying. And...
Right, and he was also in a very badass band, by the way, which hopefully I can get a video and we can do a review of this band, because his band was like, remember when I said I'm going to write a new metal song? And like, his band was what I was envisioning. Shout out to the homie. Okay. Hopefully one day he'll give me the release to go. I think he did, actually. I got to go check. But that to me is the ultimate progress. He didn't say, okay, you're completely right. He didn't say I'm joining the Black Panthers. But what he did say is like, you know what? I didn't see it that way. I never heard about that before, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to look into this. I'll get back to you. Mm-hmm. Okay, that is progress. But this whole, and both sides do this. This whole thing where like, unless you completely agree with me, then you're being divisive is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And both sides do it. Mm-hmm. So if like, so he brought up the trans situation, right? Like, I'm not a fan of the way that he characterized it and brought it up and whatever, like, and maybe I'm a little bit oversensitive because we've got trans people in the village.
I know, that happens to me too.
So I'm seeing that and I'm like, I'm not really with that. However, in that, so there's a lot of things going on. I'm actually talking to a trans person about this because I was about to shoot a video because Rand Paul went back and forth with one of Biden's folks, and it was a difficult subject. So basically, Rand Paul started off by talking about genital mutilation, female genital mutilation. And he was saying, what a lot of you guys don't understand is that a lot of these girls are doing it voluntarily because of social pressures and things of that nature. And he's like, so they're choosing voluntarily to go do this thing to themselves. But the rest of us can outside observe and say, that's not good. So then he was like, okay, well, and now he's talking about
a lot of interesting implications.
Correct. So he's talking about minors, right?
Yep.
He's like, are you okay with a federal law that allows minors to have these, irreversible surgeries done to them without parents' knowledge? Mm-hmm. She wouldn't answer the question.
Really?
She dodged the question 4 times. And I was like, holy shit.
Did you get that link I sent you over Messenger? I wanted to know if that was true. It actually is.
I think it was probably the same actual discussion.
Well, like, it was saying that you're going to be penalized if you don't allow your kid to have certain.
Yeah.
Is that true?
I don't know, but some of this shit is pretty radical. I'm not going to lie. Like, I don't know enough information about it, but I did watch the video with Rand Paul and this woman going back and forth, and she refused to talk about parental because she wouldn't talk about it. And he's like, okay, I'm going to put this on the record that you're refusing to answer this question. She's like, yeah, whatever. So like, and then there's the thing that's happening with the sports situation where they've got this 6'5" biological male that's transitioned, and now she's playing basketball with these girls, and it's like a clear, or the guys who were, the girl was basically about to get a scholarship. Oh. She was about to get her scholarship, and then these 2 biological males that were on the other track team, the male track team, then transitioned, competed, and of course they went 1-2, and then this girl lost her scholarship.
Like, it makes me so friggin' angry, because you know what? Women in our country have been put under the boot for so long, and then there's finally things that are available to us, and then men are finding some way to sneak in there and take it. Look, if you want to transition, but leave our stuff alone. That's not fair.
Well, it's not as simple as that, because then you get into the whole TERF battle. Trans exclusionary radical feminists is what a TERF is. I just discovered, and it's basically that's what they're saying.
What
they're saying? What the hell? We fought so hard to get right, and now
it's not right.
But then you're going to, okay. So are you saying that trans women aren't really? I mean, it's really, really, really sticky, man. It's very, very difficult. There's a whole bathroom conversation. Same thing. Fallon Fox is a trans MMA fighter.
It is not that complicated.
She's broken the eye sockets of 2.
It's bullshit.
She's broken the eye sockets of 2 women. A broken eye socket is no joke. And listen, Ronda Rousey's bad as hell. She's never broken anybody's eye socket.
Wow, that is so bad.
Amanda Nunes, most of you probably don't know about MMA, but Amanda Nunes is one of the heaviest punchers in MMA as a woman. She's never broken anybody's eye socket. There's Fallon Fox, who was a biological male, transitioned. Like, she's done it twice now, broken the eye sockets of these girls. Like, there needs to be a serious moratorium on it.
Why is it that it doesn't go the other way? Like, what if I said, well, look, if somebody identifies with another gender and they go through all the things, like, I feel like that's your decision, and I don't have a problem with that. But if I say, but I don't think that you should be in the fighting against women as a biological man and you've transitioned. No, that shouldn't be happening. What if I, as a woman, say I identify as a man and I also identify as my car being part of my body? Now let's go to, you know what I mean? Like, and then run over the person. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you have advantages that another person doesn't have, and you're saying that you identify with something, I'm sorry, but you were not biologically born that way, and you have advantages that women don't have.
Just do. I mean, it's just.
It's so frustrating.
It's just a fact. And how to, but that's why I didn't really appreciate the way that he characterized it and did in the video, because it's making a mockery, which automatically puts a very marginalized group of people already on the defensive. Mm-hmm. And it's easy for us who are not trans to do these little throwaway, I think they're two genders. I don't think that you're an evil person if you only believe there's two genders. That's been human history for the vast majority. That's the majority report for human history. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to do this thing where now in 5 years, we're going to overturn all. I'm not doing that. But at the same time, it's like we have to think very carefully about this stuff. The Johns Hopkins results about people who actually do these permanent transitions and how it does not fare well for the vast majority. Like, we have to have these discussions. Mm-hmm. And I don't like the way that leftists kind of do all discussion stoppers. So there's a lot of leftists who, if the minute they hear that, they're going to write you off. They're going to try to cancel you, blah, 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 blah.
What do you mean? They hear
just
what?
Because you talked about how women have been downtrodden and now, they want to immediately cancel you as if you don't have a valid argument. She absolutely has a valid argument. But my trans friends have a valid argument too. And, look, man, that's why I don't appreciate that, because, like, to me, lives are on the line in this situation, and it, in a bunch of different ways. And we've got this is an extremely sophisticated topic that has so many complexities to it, and I understand the impulse for people to want to, go back to simplifying life, because I think that's part of one of the, like, our culture's changing so fast. There's things that you can't say now that you could have even 2 years ago have said. There's so many, and there's so many different rules and so many different, norms and things like that. Like, especially with that topic, like, there's got to be a serious debate and conversation about it without all the emotionalism and then the trying to pin people as horrible, evil on either side.
I feel bad for the people who have transitioned or want to transition, and it's like serious, like that's how they identify and they're transitioning, and they still love sports and they want to be a part of it because there's really no place for them yet.
Yeah.
There should be, like, I think that we should create something, but it is a small percentage of the population, and I think it's going to take a while for us to get there, for there to be something. I think it's unfortunate, but I don't think the solution is for biologically born men to
And again, as a
take
person,
over women's sports, because we'll lose all of our women's sports.
Listen, man, in Taekwondo, when we had my Taekwondo tournament, we had a girl on our team. Mm-hmm. Name is Jennifer. But Jennifer couldn't fight in the tournaments unless there was another girl in the other school. Mm-hmm. And this was not like full contact UFC. This was points. Mm-hmm. So you score a roundhouse in the chest, you get 2. You hit him in the head, you get 5. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like her life was in more, but they still wouldn't let her fight a dude. And like, these are one of those things where your worldview is coming into, the real world. And sometimes the real world kind of educates you as to whether the validity or lack thereof of your worldview. And so, like, I just think we need to have a sit down as a community and really, really, like, figure out how we're gonna balance this stuff. And he's right. He says we need to have balance. I agree.
That's not even the same to me, because let's say they said, look, it's not wise, but you can do it if you want to. You know what I mean? Like, that's not wrecking her. Like, she's choosing to go in and, like, fight for
what
points.
What I'm saying is the fact that we understood, hey, this is a combat sport, and men have an obvious. There's a reason there's no girls in the NFL. There's a reason for it. There's a reason there are no women Navy SEALs. There's a reason for it. And I don't care what anybody says. I mean, it's just...
I don't like to admit
that.
I don't like to admit that. It makes me actually pretty frustrated to have to say that. But there is a difference. And it's you can't avoid it. There is a difference.
I mean...
An untrained, like... Pick 50 random untrained men and 50 random untrained women and put them... It's not the same. It's not the same.
Serena Williams, who's the most physically gifted... Serena Williams is the only female that I would say is stronger than you. You're like literally the strongest woman I've ever met in my life. And Serena is like built. And they asked her one time, like, are you going to go would you ever play a guy in tennis? And she said, no, I'll never do that. I'll never embarrass myself like that. Like... She's Serena Williams. She's literally, people call her the Michael Jordan of the sport. And she's saying, and she's built like she's, I mean, go Google it. Like, she's built, but that's the thing that kills me about the situation, man, is like people on both sides are trying to pretend like this is like a completely simplistic situation, and it's not. I'm sorry. And I don't know what I am. I don't know if I'm an ally, whatever. All I can say is we've got trans friends that we know and love in this community. We've had trans people at our wedding. We got remarried and all this.
Well, yeah.
Like, so we love but at the same time, I'm never going to compromise
I don't think any of our trans friends would want to go head to head with some woman. Like our trans women friends, if I'm saying that right. Like, I don't think that they would do that.
I mean, I don't know. And again, it's a very, very, because we've got some that
I'm going to ask all of them now.
We've got some people know, like, oh yeah. And then we've got other people where unless you say something, they'll never know.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
And then, so that goes there's just so many different like things, but at the same time with trans people, okay, there's that, and I think that's valid. But what about employment protection? So, like, you at the federal level, still, you can terminate somebody from employment just because they're trans.
No, that's wrong. That's wrong. But I don't think that you should have to hire somebody because they're trans.
You don't have to hire anybody because of anything.
Remember that girl that was doing? No, I'm not doing affirmative action. Remember that it was a trans woman where she wanted to work at it was like a waxing salon for women or something like that. Like something like that.
Yes.
Like, no.
She hadn't had the surgery, and she went to and thankfully people rallied around. It was this waxing thing. And
they had opened their own little company. It was going to shut them down.
They were immigrants. And she went out of her way. And what was cool about it, though, was that the person that went after her the most was a trans... what do you call it?
A trans woman?
A trans YouTuber. She's like massive.
Oh, right, yeah.
And like she went after her
good makeup too.
And lit her up. Yeah, she was on the right. She's a right-wing trans person. And she went after her and lit her up.
It wasn't right.
And then obviously, but again, that person.
That's probably like.
But that person is an anomaly in the trans community. That's what I was going to
say. It's probably more the other way.
That person was having kids come to her house and wouldn't let the parents come and all this.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying.
Like, party or something like that.
Right. To bring her as the example to me, like, bothers me because it's no, she's like an anomaly in any community.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
I see that.
Like,
yeah.
What I'm saying is you get regular trans people or even, God forbid, you have to transition while you're working, people dead name you, blah, blah, blah. There's just a lot of things where they're not protected.
What do you mean dead name you?
So, like, the name was John, and then she transitions to Jennifer, and people call her John on purpose. Oh, John!
Yeah.
You know, but then it's like, I don't want to fire the guy. It's so complicated. Because I'm like... I want you to respect those people and you do not dead name them. However, if I've been calling you John for freaking 400 days, and now there's got to be some time to help me get to that finish line. And they're extremists on both sides. They're like, the minute you say John, fire him, lock him up.
Well, no, I don't think it should be like that. But I think that, I mean, if somebody is like, I don't really know the details. I've never been in a situation like when somebody was, well, actually I have, but it was different. But anyway, like, if you're working with somebody and like you looked like this, and then tomorrow you looked like your TikTok video, then I feel like that would kind of like remind you that there's a different name to go by here. Like, You know what I'm saying?
Well, I get it.
Like, I feel like that there's probably not a whole lot of... I feel like people probably dead naming a lot and being like, oops.
Well, and then how can you tell?
You
and
can't.
Then what are the ramifications? Do you fire them? Do you write them up? Blah, 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 blah.
I don't think that you can fire them for that.
Well, but there are people on that side that are like, absolutely fire them.
Yeah.
There are people that are saying it's a hate crime and you should go to prison for it.
That's ridiculous.
So...
I think it can be done in a really hateful way.
That extreme is bad. That's how Jordan Peterson got famous. It's because he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. Because in his mind, his government's controlling speech and it's thought control and all the rest of it. So,
okay, wait. I have to say one more thing. This part I really didn't like. Well, I did at first and then I didn't. It was Trump can't build a wall. Why does your house have a fence?
Yeah.
And like, that's... I'm not even sure really why he used that example. Like, they're obviously not the same thing. Like, your fence is for your privacy. Like, nobody's, first of all, putting up a fence. Like, we're saying we're putting up the fence for our protection and blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know many people that put up a fence for that. Most people put it up for privacy. But secondly, like, there are people, how many fences are going to keep out a bad guy, babe? Well, I think that there are fences that people legit put up for that. But even still, like, this is like, that wall... The wall is complicated. The wall is complicated because there were children dying on the other side of it. And, like, all the things that happened over there. And I don't know. Like, I feel like that was just...
The only reason I'm against the wall is because I'm a Christian, and I don't think you can harmonize that attitude with a biblical worldview. But I definitely think the fence analogy works to a degree. So, like, if you say fence, okay, fine. But what about locking your door? The reason you lock your door is because... you want to keep certain people in and certain people out, and you have the right to do that. So how come we can't look at the fence as a door lock to our country? I think that's a compelling argument. The only reason I'm against it is because of the Bible.
Honestly, like, I feel like, you know, they'll say, you said that you don't know that this actually exists, but nobody can own the water.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of feel a little bit like that with, like, the world. Like, I think that we should be, like, sharing
but how
and
far
stuff,
do you want to take that?
But all the bad guys, ship them all on one location.
But how far do you want to take that? Because, okay, so you have an arbitrary plot of land that you've now decided is yours. So can anybody just walk up into your house and set up shop in your yard?
I think that people should have plots of land. I think people should have, and there's enough space for us to, like, all spread out.
But a nation is simply a collection of people.
I don't know why you just said that.
Well, my point is, how can you say that you believe in private property, but you don't believe... So you believe in private ownership of land, but you don't believe in national ownership of land?
No, I think that as we share the world, that we should share the world, but I think that people can have bits of it for themselves. But, like, when we're talking... America is a collection of people, and it's a collection of people's properties. So I don't think that closing it off to people who actually want to better themselves... I just don't think is right.
Well, the argument is that nations have a right to exist, and the only way that you can define a nation is by borders. That's one of the ways, Michael Savage used to say borders, language, culture. That's one of the ways that you define what a nation is. How do you know if you're in France versus whether you're in Italy? There's national borders. Mm-hmm. So the argument is, we have the right to determine who comes into our nation and who doesn't. They're right. The characterization of Trump as some horrible xenophobic racist because of the wall is ridiculous. That's my point. My point is, if Trump is not operating from a biblical worldview that says you have to welcome the stranger, then he's not doing anything wrong to build a wall. Like, mm-hmm. you're saying, this is our country and we're going to determine who comes in and who doesn't. And what they were saying was, come in legally. Don't jump the fence. Don't do the coyote thing. Come in legally. Now, my point is, people jumped on that and made Trump this horrible, nasty, terrible racist when it's ridiculous. Like that's a ridiculous characterization. And so I think I think that point was valid. But again, this is what happens with left-wing media. Left-wing media went so crazy that I have to go and defend Trump because they went so extreme. Like, from a secular perspective, or even an American perspective, how could you be against building the fence, building a wall?
From a secular perspective?
Yeah.
Oh. I mean, no. Even as I think as a secularist, like, yeah, I think you could be against it because if you care for people that are in a lesser position than you, like there are children dying. There are people that walk there across that desert.
There's children dying in our streets right now. We don't leave our door open and tell people to come inside. Every winter, somebody dies of hypothermia out here. So does that mean that because people are dying, you can just stroll up in their yard and they can open our door without our consent and come in and warm themselves? Like, so that's the position that Trump and the other, that's how they're looking at it. So to characterize them as evil and racist because they're looking at it that way is completely out of bounds and crazy.
Well, I think that when you couple it with the things that were happening on the border, that's what makes it such an atrocity. You have people sticking out, jugs of water, and then other people going and kicking them over.
Right, that's a separate issue.
Well, no, I think that they're connected because they're connected to the wall and the attitude that people have about it. This is our country. You're not even going to...
Yeah, but
who can do something like that?
You're stereotyping everybody who believes in the wall to be doing that.
No, I'm not stereotyping. I'm saying that it is a result. That is, they are connected. They're not disconnected.
Well, as the Crusades are connected to Christianity,
they are.
It would be ridiculous to say that every person who's a Christian co-signs the Crusades. What I'm saying is...
I didn't say that everybody co-signs it, but you can't say that they're not connected.
I can say that. I can say that what those people did has nothing to do with the ethic that Christ has put out in the Sermon on the Mount. So those people are just wrong. So you can be a pro-wall person and a pro-water person. They're not inextricably connected. And that is my problem. My problem is everybody who supported the wall got lumped in as people who would kick over water and let the Mexicans die and all that. And that is not an accurate representation of those people. I don't agree with them, but I also don't agree with slandering millions of people and reading the worst, most uncharitable motive possible into why they're doing what they're doing. To me, it's I
didn't do that. I think the reason people want the wall is because there's some very practical reasons. Well, first of all, fear is a major part of it. But I think that bad people are coming across the border and coming into our country and making life dangerous, especially if you live close to there.
Sure.
We're very far away from that border.
Yeah.
We're very far away from that wall.
Well, I wasn't when I was in Houston.
So for us, if it was basically in our backyard, maybe I'd feel a little bit differently about it with our kids. I wouldn't want our kids outside.
Right. And
you don't know who's coming over.
And my point is they characterized the media, the left-wing media, characterized everybody who was pro-wall as this horrible Mexican-hating Nazi. That's my point. And that's wrong. That's untrue. That's what I'm saying. So we got to have nuanced conversations like this. He believes in two genders. Great. But why do you have to mock those people? I completely get why you're doing it. There's very good scientific, biological, evolutionary reasons for why you hold that, and theological reasons for why you hold that position, but holy shit.
This is so terrible. But when he said that line, I was just distracted by that he made one side bigger than the other, which is generally true for women. So I was like, why did he go into that detail?
Holy moly.
But so I didn't even realize the offensive nature of that pod.
in which we've alienated everybody in our group.
Done.
So, having said that, what do you give the song?
Don't forget to unsubscribe. I like his songs. First of all, I like that I can understand the words.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
He's extremely accessible.
Yeah, he is. He's very accessible to this white lady. Older white lady. So I think I'm going to go with I obviously don't agree with a lot of the stuff that he says in this one. But I totally understand where he's coming from because I would have these same thoughts if I wasn't married to you. Well, I don't know. Even before married to you, you had already showed me stuff that I was like, what? So,
right. You were not a fan of the Eric Garner.
I had a black friend. So I'm going to say that it's a 9.6.
I'm going to give it a 9.1. Little bit of a demerit for the repetitive nature of all the songs, but at the same time.
Oh, and he did the Cardi B thing. That you didn't catch that? I was like, oh, that's your girl. He made it sound like Cardi B, the way that she talks.
Oh, when he's like, we're going for a civil war. That one?
Yeah, but he did one part. His voice kind of sounded like hers. Anyway, I'm surprised you didn't notice that.
Shout out to Cardi B. May her tribe decrease. Inshallah.
May her tribe what?
Decrease.
Oh.
You're supposed to say may her tribe increase, but
I know that. That's why that's why I said what?
Okay. So there we go.
I changed it in my mind. 9.1 for him.
A lot of that happening. 9.1 for Vincent.
9.6 for Sori.
Vin out.
There's no way to make my name longer. Sori out.
Gone.
Villagers, the NCAA college basketball tournament is right around the corner. We're doing a March Madness contest for our village to raise funds for other villagers in need. It only costs $1 to participate, and you'll have the option, if you want to donate a little extra. The way it works is you go to ESPN.com and fill out a bracket with the teams that you think are likely to win each game. Whoever wins our contest will get to pick a song for Vin and Sori to react to. So that song you've always wanted them to do, you can now get it done for as little as $1 if you win the contest. There will be a link in the description to the that we take you to a PayPal site. From there, you make your donation and you'll get an email back with instructions on where to join the group and the password so that you can join. Now, if you're asking, I'm not a big college basketball junkie, I don't know what's going to happen, that's okay. There's all kinds of information on the website that will show you what the experts are predicting, statistics on each team, and even trends as far as what everybody else is voting on. So you'll fill out your bracket. You can start doing that on March 14th, and you'll have until the games begin on the 19th to complete your bracket. You can join the group at any time, but those are the days that you can actually fill your bracket out. If you have any questions, send those to vinandsorimarchmadness@gmail.com, and I look forward to seeing you guys there.